Hey everyone, my name is Kevin White and this is Vibrant Vienna, and today we are talking with Holly Seibold, Jordan Rice, and Olga. I don't know your last name, Olga, because it's not displayed on the screen. But we're talking about BRAWS.org, and BRAWS is a nonprofit organization here or headquartered here in Vienna, but serving the entire DMV area. And probably beyond, I'm assuming at this point, and helping women in need with getting them new bras, brand new bras, feminine hygiene products, and doing that through donations and delivery and lots of logistics, and tapping into the whole kind of nonprofit community and networking with those folks. So Holly Seibold is the founder and director. And we also have Polly Ritter, and I'm excited to introduce Polly Ritter because Polly is kind of a new member of the Vibrant Creatives team, and she's been helping for the past couple of weeks on logistics, and she's a marketing professional, and she's helped out with a lot of things. So that will help this interview get out there and get the word out about what BRAWS is doing. And also Polly's going to really be conducting the interview today. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. I'm excited to kick it off, and I'll let Polly kind of take over here.
Great, thank you, Kevin. It's been a pleasure to be part of Vibrant Vienna, helping out the community, especially during these challenging times. It keeps my creative mojo going. But today we're here to talk about BRAWS, which stands for Bringing Resources to Aid in Women's Shelters. Correct, Holly? Did I get that correct?
Yeah. Perfect.
And so why don't we just start right off with how did you get started with this? I know you were a Fairfax County public school teacher before, and how did you get inspired, or what was your motivation to move on to this cause?
It really grew organically. I had read an article in January of 2015 about how women in shelters, especially domestic violence victims, were unable to access menstrual supplies and undergarments, which made sense. You're fleeing your home in the middle of the night. That's the last thing you're thinking about. So I reached out to a couple organizations to see if this is something they do, and I would be happy just to, collect donations and help. But there didn't seem to be anybody in the area that was doing anything like this. So I just organized a collection drive on my own, and held a party at my house. It was around February at the time, so we called it Mardi Gras. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah, to play on Mardi Gras. It had a Mardi Gras theme. And everybody who came was to bring a donation of pads, tampons, underwear, and a new bra. And it was very important from the very beginning for me that the bras were new. I had a lot of people who were offering gently used ones, and that's what shelters were seeing mostly.
Right.
But from the very beginning, this was about dignity, and it was about empowerment. And the only way to achieve that is if it was sealed boxes, tags on, closed packages. So that was a requirement to come to Mardi Gras. And we collected about 150 items, about 150 pads and tampons that day, and about 150 bras and underwear. And I proceeded to donate those to about 3 shelters. And then a few weeks later, I got a call from one of the directors at Shelter House, which is a local organization that houses women who have been experiencing domestic violence, and asked if I had any more products. And I said, that was a one-time thing, but how could I say no? Let me see what I can do. And so I had tapped out pretty much everybody I knew at that point. So then I started reaching out to friends of friends, reaching out to businesses, reaching out to religious organizations to see if they would be willing to help collect items. And then I, again, continued to distribute. And the pattern still 5 years later is the same. You know, we still accept in-kind donations, all new with tags on. The difference is now we're able to fundraise because you know, by May of 2015, we were an official 501c nonprofit, mainly for the intention of being able to collect financial contributions. And so now we rely heavily on funding. We have an office, we have storage, we have staff. And so fundraising is a big piece of what we do now. But again, the mission, the model still remains the same: collect donations in kind or monetarily, and then use volunteers to deliver products and supplies to the community.
That's great.
You know, we've had to adapt with COVID-19, but
yes,
again,
I was just about to.
Yeah, we can
go
talk
into
about that as well, but it's still same mission, same model. We just adapt to the times.
What is it that the community needs to know about the importance of the products and the supplies that you're giving to these women? You know, what in particular is the message that you want to get out there to the public about it that's so important that maybe people don't realize?
I'll defer to Olga, who's on our board, and that's one of her strengths and what she brings to our organization. So I'll defer to Olga to answer that question.
Sure. Well, Polly, I think one of the key issues, a lot of times it's either an issue that's taboo and periods are not really discussed in a public way. It's a little bit cringy, as teenagers would say. And a lot of times people don't realize there's a need. And that's kind of the key message. People are incredibly generous and people want to help, but they don't always realize that it is an important need. And oftentimes the collection drives and food drives, that's the type of items that don't get collected. So the need is actually pretty great.
And I noticed too that you all partnered with the town of Vienna, the Parks and Recreation. I think it's called, what is it? The Dignity in Public, where you're supplying, I guess, over at the town green, there's a dispenser there. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how you got with the town to get all that going?
Yeah, I can give you a history on that one. We have, as I said in the beginning, we started with just, you know, the model of delivering into shelters. Still same mission, but we have expanded our programs to delivering it to schools as well. We provide emergency services. We also have a program where we provide dispensers in public locations as well as schools. And we have sponsors in the community. We have several sponsors right here in Vienna who have paid for those machines. And we use our teen council, Jordan can talk more about that, to refill the dispensers as needed and really keep track of how much is going in and how much is being used. And that's really for the purpose of our advocacy, which is we believe that menstrual supplies should be available all places that women and girls frequent, mainly because of the inequity that lies by not having them available. You know, like, so for example, like, you know, there would be men, boys who are at the community center participating in after school activities and sports and whatnot, and like they can stay because they have everything they need and are able to manage their needs. However,
and some girls won't even go to school; they'll just stay at home.
That's right.
Yep, that's the concept of our school program versus the public program, is that we just want to be able to provide them, to make them accessible, for they can go to school, they can participate in after school activities, that they have full access to whatever they want. We always say this is not about periods, it's about making sure that people have access and equal opportunity to participate in life. So, but Jordan can talk a little more about that, the public, the teens and how they're involved.
Right. I see that you all were instrumental in spearheading 2 or 3 different bills that got put through.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really, I know they have such long names, bill number, I don't know what the number is, but maybe you could talk a little bit about how you changed those policies through your advocacy and
Right. So it goes back again to just, you know, having access wherever women and girls need products. And so we've gotten a couple of bills through. One just recently passed, and it is to require that schools provide those dispensers I just discussed in school bathrooms, so that you know, we're again going back to the teen council. The girls are telling us, you know, that like in order for them to, let's say they get their period in class, in order for them to stay in class, they would have to go down to the front office, wait
the
in line,
nurse and all of that, and it's embarrassing, and you just don't even want to deal with any of that. Yeah.
They have to go home, right? Or
Yeah.
if they know the period is coming, they just won't come to school in the first place because they don't have products and to manage their period. So yes, it becomes an issue, an education issue, where they're just not getting an equitable education. So we really have been advocating for that for years. And so a bill was just passed that schools districts are required to purchase dispensers and fill them with
That's
supplies.
great.
Yeah. And we also had another bill that focused on prisons. We work with several shelters that support women who were formerly incarcerated, and the experience of having your period in prison or jail is unbearable and undignified. And so one of the things that we wanted to really push for was for prisons and jails to make sure that all who had access, all who needed it had access. And so not only had access, but that we were finding out that the guards were rationing the pads, and so it just wasn't a suffice amount. In addition, if they wanted a tampon, they had to purchase that in the commissary at a rate that was higher than we're paying out here in the public.
Wow.
Right. So we're still working with them. I mean, that passed 2 years ago, but right now we're working really on the accountability piece, making sure that all of the prisons and jails are being compliant with this policy, because we're still finding that, you know, even though the bill is passed, they're not necessarily compliant. And I think we're going to have that same problem with the schools, that yes, the bill is passed, but how do we make sure that it's been implemented properly? So it's going to be a couple more years of advocacy efforts in that sense.
Now, do you find with COVID going on right now that getting your hands on these supplies is a lot more difficult? I mean, how are you, I mean, are people donating? I mean, how has that whole dynamic changed as far as, I mean, I see you've got quite a list of places that you all deliver to. I mean, schools, shelters, there's quite a list there. How has that all changed right now?
We have yet to say no, put it that way. Our goal is 100% of those who need help will have their menstrual needs also met. So we have yet to say no to any shelter, school, church, anybody who asks, especially right now, will get our supplies, and we will continue to fundraise and make sure that happens. And when we do get low, which we were very low a couple weeks ago, we put a big call out to the community. Basically, we're not purchasing it through grocery stores or Amazon anymore, because the products are unavailable. We want to make sure the public
or they charge so much,
or they're gouging the prices. So we actually have a distributor that we can purchase wholesale through, they have had to up the price as well because of the current situation. However, it's about $30 a case. We get about 80 cases on a pallet, so it's about $2,500 a case, about $2,500 a pallet, and that serves about 1,000 women, and that's what we're going through pretty much each month. So we made a really loud call to the community to help support this, and we had so much response. People in this community are so generous. I mean, we were really looking just to purchase at least one pallet at this time, because we thought that's what the community could handle, given that people are unemployed. But there's so much kindness and generosity that we're able to purchase 3 pallets in the last week. So now we're able to service 3,000 people in the next month. Now we have to continue fundraising though, because you know, the need is going to grow and grow and grow as we find more locations to deliver to.
How do you find that you're getting most of your donations? Are you is it social media? Is it just word of mouth? I mean,
it's social media.
Social media. Okay.
And we have a whole plan. Olga, do you want to talk about how?
Sure. Sure. Well, and I just want to emphasize the point that Holly is making. Mission delivery doesn't stop. Periods don't stop with the crisis. So we need to do what we can to continue supplying. And, you know, resources are tight. Resources are strained. Like any other nonprofit, we're having to cancel certain in-person events. We're not able to do the same way to collect in-kind donations as we would normally. So it definitely puts a lot of pressure on the organization to raise more money. And May 5th is Giving Tuesday Now Day coming up. So it's a day of unity to help respond to unprecedented need. So we really hope that community will come together and whether it's contributions, whether it's in-kind donations, help us continue with the mission delivery, because we're not seeing a diminishing need. Actually, the needs have multiplied threefold. So it's really, really important that we continue to collect supplies, collect resources to order supplies so that we can keep serving women and girls in our area. So May 5th, Giving Tuesday Now. So hopefully your readers, your listeners will.
I'll make a note of that. Okay.
Yeah. So $30 buys a case. $2,500 buys a pallet. So that's 1,000 women that can be served. And again, it's not about the tampons, it's not about the pads, it's about much bigger issue. It's issue of equity, it's issue of dignity. So it's really, really important.
I really like that message, being a man. It helps me understand, although I understand that, I think that word of opportunity is the key, right? It's not making the issue the issue. It's about giving the opportunity to, in particular when you're talking about schools, you know, and I think about like my daughter. I mean, she's only,
you've got a daughter,
barely 2 years old yet, but eventually, right, this will be something that will be personal.
Absolutely.
And it shouldn't have to be personal for me to be concerned about it, right? We're, again, that's what the Vibrant Vienna thing is really about. It's about raising awareness, the idea of community, and these needs do exist in our community. So I like the word opportunity really just resonates with me, and it really I think speaks to what you're trying to do in a higher level, right? Is because that was kind of one of the questions that I had, was like, what is the connection between the dignity piece and the feminine hygiene piece?
Yep.
I can make all kinds of assumptions and try to answer the question myself, and I think you already answered that, and you answered it very well. And so it's really important. I mean, it's something that, like you said, it can be a taboo topic.
That's
and it
right.
doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. This is health and wellness that we're talking about on the one hand, and opportunity on the other, right? Together.
That's exactly right. It's about education. It's about taking the embarrassment and the cringe out of it, because we all have daughters, we all have sisters, wives, etc. I can tell you that speaking for those of us involved with the organization, our sons will never cringe about periods. Like, they know what we do, and they have to grow up to be comfortable with that. So we're just really, we're really hopeful about Giving Tuesday, and making sure that we collect supplies, we collect donations to continue serving women and girls.
Well, I love the whole message, periods don't stop in a pandemic.
That's right.
It's life goes on, you got to just keep going. Especially during these times, people are finding new ways of giving back to the community. They're trying to find ways to help. Are there any volunteer opportunities that you have? Are you limited on those right now because of what's going on, or delivery?
We have a long list of people who are willing to deliver. People are really just been really kind and generous with their time. We made sure it's all contactless. But I mean, really, there's not a whole lot to do because it is just, you know, pick up a box and drop it. Normally, in our normal world, in our regular delivery schedule, we do go inside the shelters. We work with the women, try to get them a bra that fits well. We don't like just dropping off bras because they're very, very expensive donations. And so we want to make sure that women find the right one and that it fits. But in this climate, we're just putting them in a box and underwear as well and dropping them off. So people can sign up to volunteer. It's just not as much of a need as the financial piece.
Right. And the different programs you have going on right now are, as far as donations and how to give, there's certain different types of a monthly giving club, or what do those programs look like?
Well, I mean, we suspended all programs right now. The only thing we are doing is emergency relief for COVID-19. So the list that you see online is really is not we don't normally like service that many pantries, for example, or food banks. We normally go directly to the schools. And that's what I actually wanted to follow up, because a lot of people think, you know, we live in a wealthier community. It's Vienna, Oakton, you know, McLean area, and there's not as much need. So, but we actually we service Madison High School. We serve Thoreau Middle School, Cunningham Park, Marshall Road. Like, we are actually going directly to the schools, giving them to a counselor or social worker or parent liaison, and they're hand delivering them to those who they know need it most. So it's been challenging because we don't have that mode of service delivery right now, and so that's why you see that long list, is because we've had to go to alternative sites and we deliver it there, and they are then responsible for making sure that all those kids at Madison and Thoreau and Marshall are getting the products that they need most. So we've suspended all programs and just, you know, trying to incorporate a variety of distribution sites with the intention of making sure we're hitting all the people that we normally do serve.
Polly, to answer your question about how public and folks that want to support the organization can participate, I mean, certainly going to our website and contributing, and really no amount is too small. As Holly was saying, $30 buys a pack. So every little bit helps. You can also visit us on Facebook and follow us and stay tuned for opportunities to contribute or set up a fundraiser. We would absolutely love that. You know, I just keep emphasizing every dollar matters. And even if you don't think you can make a huge contribution, maybe you can buy a $2,500 pallet, $30, $50, every little bit helps.
So in addition to being heavily involved with BRAWS, I've been working on a student food initiative. So I've been intricately involved with all of the schools Holly mentioned. And I do think that there is a little bit of a lack of awareness in the Vienna community how many hundreds of families are truly in need right now. And these are families that are vetted by the school counselors at each of the schools that feed the Madison Pyramid, for example, Cunningham, Thoreau, Louise Archer, Marshall Road, Wolf Trap, Vienna, and then Madison High School itself. And so, as Holly mentioned, with all programs being suspended, the school pantries are no longer open. And this was how female students were able to go and access pads and tampons previously in a discreet manner to help preserve their dignity, but also meet their needs to keep these students educated. And Holly, in conjunction with the schools, have had to get very creative about how to get feminine products into the hands of all of these students and these women. Because even though these girls aren't going to school like they were in the buildings, they still deserve dignity at home. It doesn't matter whether they're in their family room or they're in a classroom. They still deserve dignity. Their mothers, their cousins, their aunts, etc., all still deserve dignity. And I think it's really eye-opening when you get into the statistics of it. Vienna has consistently been rated one of the top places to live in America, one of the wealthiest towns in America. But there is a very large concentration of families who, even prior to the pandemic, were truly in need for BRAWS services and many others. And during the pandemic, we've just seen it grow week after week after week. The number of families that are coming forward each week that weren't previously a part of these programs is staggering. And I think sadly, we're just going to see that number continue to grow in the coming weeks and months as people face further job insecurity and job loss. And, you know, they're going to buy food before they buy pads and tampons, for example. But that doesn't.
I know this morning I was reading on the local news about Food for Others down here in Maryfield, and it was a huge line wrapped around of families coming to get food, and a lot of people don't really see that happening. And so it was a long, I mean, the line wrapped around of families coming to get food, and you know, it's just people
You're
if you don't see it, you don't know what's going on.
You're so right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's a need many are blind to in Vienna, and not purposely, because the generosity of the Vienna community and the surrounding areas, not just limited to folks with a Vienna address, but it is astounding. I mean, I think you have seen so many amazing acts of generosity in this community in the past like 6+ weeks. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's been pretty inspiring. I mean, that's one of the reasons, you know, I'm sitting here at home and I have a graphic design background, and I said, what am I doing here? I've lost some of my work, and that's when Kevin's post popped up. And so anything, I think people right now in particular, and Holly, more on a personal note, and Olga and Jordan, like when being a leader and spearheading this cause, which is just fantastic, what I think when people come out of this, hopefully people are going to maybe even want to change their careers and give back to the community in some form. What advice can you give to people if they've got something they're passionate about and want to help the community in some way, in a different way? What are the obstacles you had to face, or what getting started with your, you know, with this cause?
I guess, well, for me, I was working simultaneously while BRAWS was growing. I did make the conscious effort to not conscious decision. I guess it's not effort. I made a conscious decision to give up my career at maybe around like year 3 to focus specifically on growing this cause and this mission, since we are the only organization in this area that does serve this need. I did want to grow it and make sure we're making a bigger impact. So I spent that time looking for grants and contacting foundations and really trying to align with business leaders who would be willing to support our cause. So it is a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of just gut feeling. It's a lot of
drive. There must be a drive within you.
Passion. Like it's just hard to put into words, like, because people ask me this question all the time. Like I have so many people that say, I want to start a nonprofit. How do I do it? And it's really difficult to put into words because it happens for me at least, it happened very organically. Like, that's right. You know, I'm lucky because I have so many people in the community that have supported BRAWS over the years. So, you know, I have people who, like Olga and Jordan, who are spending their free time volunteering and helping build BRAWS. I mean, Jordan has been on our committee for Mardi Gras for years and has single-handedly brought in thousands and thousands of dollars through business support, you know. So it's asking a lot from people in the community who are willing to do this and make this investment. I have been able to kind of guide it in a way that has been motivated by passion and drive. And, you know, it's just continuing to know that our clients are being impacted in a way that makes their life better. So, yeah, it's hard to put in words, but I'll let Jordan do it as well.
I just want to add to what Holly said. I mean, she literally started this in her living room. Like when there are stories of people starting a movement in their living room, like she's one of them. Yeah, and I think people start thinking too big and they have great intentions and then they do nothing. And I just keep reminding everybody every little bit matters and you have to start out small.
That's so true,
It's sort of like you don't have to build the next multinational nonprofit. Start out small and start out by donating, start out by volunteering, find something you're passionate about, take that first step. Rather than thinking too big and throwing in the towel and giving up and not doing anything at all.
Right. The expectations. Don't set your expectations too high at the beginning or else.
Yeah, they say road to hell is paved with good intentions. So small acts matter more than grandiose plans.
Right.
Well said.
And this is like a recurring theme too with even businesses where you talk to John Crane at Clarity or you talk to Patrick Bazin and what they tell you is like, they just love what they do. And that's what carries them through the hard times. So the dream of starting a nonprofit just has to start with, I love the people that I'm serving and I love the way that I'm serving them. Bottom line. And that is true, I think, in the business world as well as the nonprofit. I mean, especially in the nonprofit world, because then you definitely don't have money as the motivating factor as much as a service provision or a business does. Although it's still there and it's still a great, you have to have financing, but the motivation has to be right. It has to be love. The bottom line, love of others and love of the people that you're serving, which kind of like, I have this itching question and we can leave this out too if you'd like, but how do you so like yesterday I was talking to Letitia, I forget her last name. She started Belong and it's part of Vienna Presbyterian Church.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah, so I told her about you guys. Maybe you guys can connect, but she was saying one of the things that she does for the community down by Cunningham Elementary, in those apartment complexes, is she does like or Belong does a farmer's market, but they give away fresh produce to families in need. But she also finds that her mission behind the mission is connecting with the families and also getting the volunteers who contribute to come to that so they can connect with those families. So it goes beyond the just the product aspect and it becomes about like connection, right? Connection with like the human connection, the human factor, which is so valuable. A conversation can spark so much, or even like you, Holly, and like you might think about a young teen girl in need and she meets you and could be completely inspired by your drive and tenacity and your story and how you became successful, and that could set that young lady off in a whole different direction, right? Just from the human connection. So
yeah, I hope so.
How do you guys, this is like a really high level question, but like, do you, it's the obvious answer, I'm sure you do that, but how is it intentional how you do that, or is that more organic and it just kind of happens?
So I think not only for BRAWS, I think this is true of any nonprofit, people connect to the organization in different ways, and people give themselves to the organization in different ways. So you have folks who are financial contributors, and that's all they can do. Perhaps they don't have the time, that's what they're interested in, it doesn't matter. That's terrific. Then you have folks who their connection to the organization is their time. So we have volunteers who tirelessly, month after month after month, drive all over the greater DC area to make deliveries of products to shelters and schools and other organizations that we work with. And that is their contribution to the organization, and it is just as important as the dollars. So I think it's key to see that it's not that one is more important or more valuable than the other. It's that all of those pieces and contributions are needed, and they all need to function in tandem and in the spirit of what the organization is doing. Because without the dollars, we wouldn't have the products for the volunteers to then distribute to serve our clients. And then we've also got the group of supporters who are out there getting our message out, which is so incredibly powerful. And I think what's amazing is that not only we have women getting the message out, it's that we have men. So like Delegate Mark Keem, for example, has been a stand up all around, absolutely fantastic supporter of BRAWS for many years. You will see him at every event, and if he is the only man in a sea of women, he's perfectly happy. And kudos to him for, you know, taking on something that's considered taboo in the eyes of not only men, but for many women and girls and young boys and whatnot, and getting out there as, you know, father of daughters and trying to help rid the stigma. And there's just so many important parts to our mission and ways in which we want to serve our clients. And, you know, Holly's dream, I bet she would tell you, is one day to just never need bras, because every woman in this world has access to pads, tampons, new bras, and new underwear. That would be like the greatest goal that BRAWS could ever meet, is every woman's need is fulfilled. But this lady has the biggest dreams of most people that I know. And, you know, I mean, just the thousands and thousands and thousands of women and children that we serve every year are a testament to not only the need that is out there right under our eyes all over the DMV, but also the ability that we have to make a difference in people's lives and bring them the dignity that they deserve to get back on their feet from however they are in this, you know, the situation that they're in, because people need us for all sorts of different reasons. They could be on socioeconomic hard times. They could have had to flee a domestic violence situation. You never know where these women and their children may be coming from. They all have a different story to tell, but our common goal at the end of the day is to do what we can to give them dignity to live their lives.
Everyone has capacity to do something. It exactly as Jordan is describing. It takes different shapes. For somebody, it's writing a check. For somebody else, it's showing up and volunteering. But everyone has capacity to help. And once you get over the apathy of what can I really do? I can't really solve the problem. Like, you just have to do one small thing, and then it will be followed by another and another. You just have to kind of shake yourself out of what can I do? I'm just one person, and do something.
When you hear about like retailers like that have all this extra inventory and they're literally burning it because they don't want to, right? Is that something that you tap into?
We haven't had any luck with retail organizations, to be honest with you.
Got it.
The only one that has given us products is who's donated products. Kotex, through the partnership with Kimberly Williams. Is that right?
Yeah.
Clark, no, sorry. Kotex, through the partnership with Kimberly Clark, has given us pads through a organization that was developed called the Alliance for Period Supplies, and they're reaching out to different organizations like BRAWS throughout the country, and whenever they have excess amount of pads that they're not distributing to the retailers, then they will give a donation, and that's only happened in the last couple months. But prior to that, we, especially in the beginning, like years and years ago, I spent so much time reaching out to these manufacturers trying to get donations, and I had no luck. And I just, there's only so much time.
Sure.
And so, we're a small organization that's very community oriented, and I actually have no intentions of BRAWS expanding beyond the DMV area. I mean, besides Virginia, we work with organizations like all the way out in Southwest Virginia, Norfolk, down in Richmond. So we've expanded south, but still within our state. And so I find, though, that these big organizations are the ones that really are the recipients of manufacturers' donations.
Got it.
And that's and it won't ever be us, as far as I know.
Right. Got it.
Plenty of people to help right here in our community. We don't need to,
Absolutely. again, what you said earlier, it's not about your like it's serving people. It's serving people. That's just the bottom line.
And that's
Right?
why I came up with the I mean, for us to be able to get products from them, we'd have to change our model significantly. We'd have to become, we'd have to expand and really choose quantity over quality. And that's not what I want, and I don't think that's what our volunteers want. I mean, that's what Jordan was describing earlier. You know, that's not, our supporters want to stay here and help the people that in the community that they live in. And so because of that, we're going to have to rely heavily, though, on our community. We have to rely heavily on the businesses that work here, the people who live here, foundations that that serve Northern Virginia. So that's the trade-off. You lose funding, you lose opportunity to access these donations, but at the same time, you know, you're making a difference right here. And I think, I mean, honestly, even since COVID-19, some of these businesses that are not even working right now are still making donations to us, which it's almost like, I hate taking the money, honestly. Like, you know, Memorial gave us a donation.
I know.
You know,
Alicia over at Boutique gave us money, and she's closed.
Yeah,
I think,
it's amazing.
you know, I think to myself too, you know, before BRAWS, what was going on? I mean, because I've never heard of an organization that provides the niche, you know, with these supplies before that. I mean, I wonder, since you guys came along, I mean, it must have been pretty bad before.
It wasn't a priority. And also, I should also mention that the reason why the demand is so high for menstrual supplies is that it's also not covered under SNAP. That's food stamps. You can't use food stamps. It's not part of Medicaid or WIC.
Wow.
They're taxed still, and they're taxed heavily. We've been able to get the tax down to 2.5% from 6%, but we haven't been able to remove it completely. So it's not accessible in any of the government supplements, government programs, and so that's why we've been arguing, like, you know, these products are food, you know, so so many food banks. Why can't we also have like a period product bank? Because this is something that they need every month, and some women have periods that last for weeks, you know, because they have endometriosis and other issues. So what are they doing? And what were they doing for us? And that's why it's really important that we continue to support BRAWS and this mission, because you know, we don't want to go back to the days when there was nobody supplying them. And as Jordan said, my goal is to put ourselves out of business. Like, we don't want to be this. Right?
Yes.
We want these products like they do with diapers. We want food stamps to cover these products, but at this point right now, they don't. And there's no option. And Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Girl Scouts are starting to come around, but you know, the main people who collect and donate are not collecting these items. And so again, we have to exist until the taboo is destroyed and people are including this in other collection drives or in government subsidies.
It's such a mind blow. This is kind of a rhetorical question, but it's like, what is the reason for that law? Like, why wouldn't WIC cover that piece? It makes no sense.
Right.
I think it's
money.
It makes no sense, but also, Kevin, if you were someone who's the recipient of WIC or food stamps, period products are so expensive that most of those families wouldn't probably choose to spend their money. If they have to decide between the protein they need at the grocery store to nourish their bodies and a pad or a tampon, they're likely going to pick the food product, which is even more disheartening because, you know, then you have women and girls who are basically incarcerated in their homes, you know, during menstrual cycles each month. And I think what Holly has done with her introduction into the schools is doing so much good for the future of these young women and keeping them in school. Because you imagine, say the average girl's period is 4 or 5 days, it comes monthly, and they just didn't go to school when they didn't have access to pads or tampons.
Did you have to pay for those before? And I mean, I grew up in the 80s, I mean, I don't remember whether there was a dispenser in the bathroom, but I mean, did it recently, I mean, have things changed? Because I think you said,
Recently,
Holly, that they're supplying
yeah,
those now, right?
we are, but recently, actually, I heard that Fairfax County was charging women for the products that we were supplying, and I
Oh,
came down on them. And so it is,
Whoa,
oh,
come
yes, exactly.
on. Yeah.
They were charging in the clinic, and so I came down, and supposedly now they are not allowed to charge for the products, but yeah, they were charging, and this was out down in South Fairfax County, which is the poorest area of Fairfax County.
Right. Oh,
I'd be
man.
so pissed.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm pissed for you.
Yeah.
Charlie's upset.
Yeah, I mean, we want
I
these
know.
girls in school so that they can get an education and create an opportunity for themselves to succeed in life when they join the workforce post-graduation. And if they're missing a week of school every single month because they didn't have access to pads or tampons during their period, the cumulative effect of that over
Yeah.
the latter half of their school career is unbelievably detrimental to their learning and furthering their opportunities for the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about sometimes sports or after school activities, theater, music are a lot of the ways that people in poverty are able to get out of this and break the cycle, right? They have to get
Yeah.
scholarships, they go to college. That's how they are able to move on. Now, again, if you don't have a way to manage your menstruation, you are not staying after school to participate. You're not doing special ed, special activities. The other thing we also provide, and it's overlooked, but we do provide is if you don't have underwear, fresh underwear, you can't use pads either. So we provide those items as well to girls, and we do also provide them to young boys as well, so that they can go to school. And then the sports bras is another important piece that we haven't really talked about much, but we deliver hundreds of sports bras a year to each school in Fairfax County, and so that they can participate in PE and again sports. You know, the average girl drops out of sports around 12, 13, and there is a connection between your period and sports, and so we want to prevent kids from dropping, girls especially, from dropping out of sports because they don't have access to a sports bra that's around the age that they're developing, and they don't have access to menstrual supplies, so they're just dropping out. And so that's another important issue that we really didn't talk about much about, that gateway out of poverty is often through sports or extracurricular.
And especially, you know, I just remember 7th grade, 8th grade, around that time, you know, it's an awkward age, and
Yes.
especially gym class was not, everybody dreaded it.
Yeah.
And those horrible outfits that Fairfax County Public Schools made, I don't know what they look like today, but in the 80s, they were not good. And so you've got that along, and then you don't have the supplies, you know, the hygiene supplies that you need. That makes the whole thing even just more awkward and worse. So I can't even imagine not being able to have access to those during those awkward, the 7th and 8th grade, because the 7th and 8th grade can be brutal.
Of course, yeah, it's really bad, and that's why we're disappointed the schools are closed. I mean, for many reasons, but I want to get my kids back to school. But we're disappointed the schools are closed because that was our distribution center. That was a way that the kids could discreetly get what they needed, because you know a lot of times they're not comfortable with asking their mom or dad, or sometimes there's no mom. Like it was always easier to give it to social workers or the parent liaisons who they had a relationship with that wasn't a parent or a family member. So we're working really hard trying to get everything we can out to those who need it the most right now.
So I was going to ask that. How do you, how are you connected?
It's been challenging. I mean, that's what we try to distribute to as many places as possible. But at this point, we can't guarantee that the kids are taking it from these public facilities, especially because they don't really know them. They don't really have a relationship, and it's something so personal. So it does make me sad. Like if you're driving up to, like, we give products to Western Fairfax Christian Ministries, right? Pantry out in the Centerville area. And I mean, I can't guarantee that we're giving them thousands of pads and tampons, that those girls are going to take them, or that they're asking for some underwear or whatever. So it is disheartening. We are slowly, now that things are kind of coming into place, we're slowly, like South Lakes High School had a really big pantry, and they've now just started operating it again. I mean, obviously they can't do it on site at South Lakes High School. So what they're doing is working with a church up the street, and they're using their parking lot, and they have like a drive-through system now where the kids and families of South Lakes High School can come and get food, and also, acquire menstrual supplies when they're there. Same thing, Carnegie High School's pantry is up and running, so we're trying to do that. Women Giving Back is another example. They're doing drive-through Saturdays.
Yeah.
So we let the families know that we work out in the Sterling area to go to Women Giving Back, and therefore they can get it there. But honestly, like lately, and I just have to shout out our teachers and counselors. We've had teachers and counselors contact us, and literally are getting the supplies and driving them to some of their families to make sure that they have those menstrual supplies
That's awesome.
while they're all quarantined. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Teachers are great.
People out there.
Letitia Belong said that she was doing gift cards for the meals, because a lot of the families rely on the lunches. So that I got to connect you with her, because that might be an opportunity to get.
Holly, we can talk more about that. That's what I've been working on. So it's called the Vienna student. Well, I got looped in by accident because I just started fundraising, and then it became a bigger thing. But yeah, it's called the Vienna Student Food Initiative. And it's basically a program to cover the schools in the Madison High School pyramid to distribute grocery store gift cards to students and families in need, which have been vetted and identified by the counselors at each school. But those lists are growing every week. And as Holly mentioned, getting these items, whether it's a grocery store gift card or it's a pack of pads or tampons, into these families' hands is more challenging than I think the average person thinks. It's not just saying, okay, everybody report to the parking lot of XYZ on Saturday at 10 a.m. Many of these families don't have cars. They don't have the financial means to operate a car. Yeah. So then someone's going, well, take an Uber. Well, if they can't afford a car, they very well can't afford an Uber. Bus services are running on an extremely limited basis, and then that's assuming that they even live, with access to a bus stop, and where they need to go is off of a bus stop.
Yeah, there's so much involved when you think about it. I mean, it's not just
the logistics are astronomical for all of these different organizations trying to do good. And then you have to just hope that the families show up. It's not like you can have a counselor or a teacher or a principal that sits out there for, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and the families can just come when they want. And so it's been very logistically challenging, and Holly has, been working tirelessly to partner with some of those schools to get pads and tampons into the hands of the women in those families that need them. But yeah, we need someone from FedEx or UPS or something who is a logistics pro for all of the good that people want to do, because, it's not, the execution is not always as simple as people think it might be.
Yeah. Got it.
So hence why you have teachers literally driving supplies to their students, because they know how important that is for those women and daughters who have those supplies, and that's the way they're going to get them.
Right. I feel like the teachers are the it seems like the teachers are the key, because that's the direct point of contact. Even if the teachers aren't doing the delivery piece, they might just be the knowledge piece to provide, okay, these are the names, right? Anyway.
Yeah, they're super in touch. Well, what's I think apropos is that this is going to air during Teacher Appreciation Week, which is actually May 4th.
Yay,
that would be great.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, my mom was a school teacher. I grew up, and I know how much my mom was involved. Sometimes that buying her, kids the supplies for the classroom out of her own money, and to this day, teachers are still doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we were advocating for the bill that just provide them in the school bathrooms, the actually Virginia Teachers Union came down and testified on our behalf, along with a few teachers, because teachers are actually paying out of pocket for these supplies.
I can believe it.
And they tell the kids from day one, like in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, like, if you have any issues, just come up. I've got them in my desk. You can.
I believe it. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Deal with the whole drama of going to the nurse's office.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers are my heroes. They're really.
They really are.
Everything else they need.
That's really cool. Your story too about, the fact that you were a teacher, Holly.
Yeah, and I think I was a 4th grade teacher, so we had a couple kids that had that issue, and then I taught 6th grade in Fairfax County, and I think that's why especially the teen piece resonates the most with me. In the beginning, when I started it back in 2015, we were only really going to the shelters because that was the most accessible place. It was easier to get into there than the schools because of confidentiality issues and whatnot. And so I started with that, but we were finding that those girls were not coming to get the supplies. They were either, we're strangers, so they were embarrassed. They didn't want to do it with their mom there, or dad, or siblings, and so that's why we made this second program and really pivoted and started focusing on the schools, because as Jordan said earlier, a lot of these kids don't have transportation, they don't have a way of getting to the shelters or the pantries, whatnot. So if it's at school, if it's like we put them in brown bags, very discreet, they'll come and get it, because we'd rather have them do that than just stay home and pretend that they have a headache for 5 days, which is what is happening. And so I think that's my connection too, is being part of the world of education for so long. Yeah, seeing these kids and knowing the struggles they have, and this needs to be the last thing on their mind. They need to focus on their education, focus on sports, focus on activities. They do not need to be worried about this. And if we could easily take one thing away from them, then we're doing our job, and I'm so happy to be part of that.
I'm just super impressed. I am very impressed with what you're doing, and your organization is fantastic. So I'm just so glad I got to meet you guys today, and this has been great.
Oh,
thanks so much, guys. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And like when we can, it would be great to actually come down to the building down there.
Oh, I love that. We were in that small space originally, and then it wasn't enough room to accommodate our volunteers and board meetings, and also all the products that we have in inventory. So we moved. So Inside Shop was moving out, and so we moved over to that space next door where the Inside Shop used to be. And now we have a lot of
yeah.
But unfortunately, we don't have as many donations, and that's been all the problem since COVID-19 began, is that so many people would do collection drives for us every month, like book clubs, church groups.
Yeah. There were so many different events, and the Mardi Gras, and people holding their own fundraising.
Yeah, and so now people can't collect those items. And so now we have to spend more money on purchasing supplies, because we're not getting in kind anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is BRAWS.org. This is your website, and right here on the front page, we've got the message: donate to the COVID-19 fund. So this is where people can go to donate right away. I'll click on it just to see. Boom.
That's through Square, and if you go back to the homepage, there's also access through PayPal as well.
Oh yeah, down here.
So people can donate either place.
Cool.
And I mean, $5, $10, anything is fine.
I'll be making my donation today.
I will.
Thank you, Polly. That's really, really nice, and thank you, Kevin.
Totally. That's too easy.
Just giving us this platform to tell our story and hear from our volunteers is very kind and generous of your time, and as you asked earlier, like everything matters. This is your skill set, and if you can contribute that by raising awareness in the community, then you're doing just as much work as I am, or Jordan, or Olga. You know, we're all trying to do our part with what we are familiar with.
Like Holly and Olga and I have all said, every dollar counts. So whether your donation is $5 or $500, every donation is going towards supporting women, girls and sons in need during the pandemic. And it's the collective effort of all of that together to benefit the community.
And I'll just scroll through, not that, I mean, anybody can go here on Instagram. Yep. Some people don't have Instagram in the community, they use Facebook, but just some of the photos.
They're recent since COVID started, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's
so
Linda.
Yep, there's Linda.
Oh, there's Linda. There's a little house.
A lot of these were our sponsors from Mardi Gras, which we've also been encouraging folks to go frequent because we were very, very, very lucky. We were very lucky to have our annual fundraiser before COVID started, like literally a week before.
Yeah, because was that in February?
That was the last week of February, and honestly, Mardi Gras, it's still our biggest source of revenue. That's when businesses give, individuals give.
Yeah, you hit it right there, right before things.
Oh, we are very grateful and fortunate because we literally probably wouldn't have enough money to sustain past another month or two. But Mardi Gras, we were lucky we had it. We have money now, and thanks to all these businesses that you see advertise, we have money, and that's why we're encouraging people to go to those small businesses.
I mean, it looks like a huge community of people that are involved with this.
Yeah, we're very grateful.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and a testament to just people's giving spirit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though a lot of these businesses had to close temporarily, they're still supporting us through donations, and we're incredibly appreciative and grateful for them, because I know how hard it is for them at this time.
It looks like she's looking at a map, planning like where all to go, and that's just incredible. And that's what Jordan was talking about. The logistics part is so key. Strategizing and doing that piece. You're amazing. You're a hero. So thank you.
Holly's like the furious superhero. She just doesn't wear a cape out in public. She wears it at home. She wants to make sure her kids know she's a superhero, but we've had to get her to wear her superhero cape out in public.
I mean, honestly, it's not just me though. I hate taking.
I know.
I really hate taking the credit, because we just have so many volunteers and so many people that have.
I totally got that feeling from your Instagram feed, because I'm like, oh, it'd be great to get a picture of Holly for this thing, for the little thumbnail when I promote it. And I'm scrolling through and I'm like, there's no pictures of her.
Holly hides from the camera usually, actually. Holly.
But then I'm like, oh, but that's so cool, because that's, like, that should be a nonprofit. It isn't about the, ooh, look what I'm doing. It's and it's hard work. It's just, the bottom line is it's hard work, but you have such a passion for it. It drives you through. You don't think of it as hard work. I'm
lucky I have so many volunteers, because back in the day, I would be physically the one that was driving everything, just bringing them in, going into shelters. But because we have such an amazing network of volunteers, and I don't have to do that anymore. I also used to be the one that had to plan everything, all the events, fundraisers by myself, and because we have an amazing set of volunteers that do that, I don't have to do that as much anymore. So really, my job now is very much overseeing all of this, but a lot of it just plays out on its own, because so many people have taken the initiative to just do it, and so I do spend a lot of my time now writing grants and trying to win some serious money. In fact, we won a grant yesterday for $10,000 from the Community
Yeah.
Foundation of Northern Virginia. I wrote a grant last December before this happened, but we just got awarded $21,000 from Loudoun County for work out there to help support that. So that's what I do now, because I want BRAWS, whether I'm here or not. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I want the mission to continue.
Awesome.
And we need money, and we need structures, and we need staff, and we need volunteers in place. And so I'm hoping that it is now to the point where no matter what happens in the world, whether again we're dealing with a pandemic or just regular programs, or I'm here or not here, or Jordan's here or not here, that the organization itself is structured, processes in place that those who need it the most are still accessing supplies. And so I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that we're to that point where it can run itself. But it wasn't like that a couple years ago. It was somewhat of a disaster.
Well, and can I just say that from the volunteer perspective, I mean, BRAWS has one of the most loyal group of volunteers that I've ever laid eyes on, and I've been involved in a number of nonprofits over the years. And I think, it's twofold. Not only are these volunteers dedicated to the mission and the cause of BRAWS, but they also really feel the love from Holly. Like, the BRAWS is made up of a team of superheroes, and she is definitely our chief superhero. But Holly's ability to show her appreciativeness and her thankfulness and just her love for what the team of volunteers at BRAWS do and the community is always there and front of mind. You will never do something for BRAWS and not feel the personal love and thanks from Holly. And that's so incredibly important, because that thank you and that little token of appreciation goes so far.
Goes a long way, yeah.
And I think that is a huge part of what keeps people coming back and keeps them loyal and helps spread the word, throughout all of our volunteers and supporters, social circles and friends and family, is because they see the value in the organization and our mission, and they see from our founder and director that every single person is appreciated for their contribution, no matter how big or how small.
We live in a community where people are working long hours and under a lot of stress, and it amazes me to this day that people will give up so much time to volunteer, and there's a million different places they can volunteer for, and so I'm really grateful for our Mardi Gras committee. As I said, it's our number one source of revenue. And the volunteers for our Mardi Gras committee just spend hours and hours. I mean, this event now has about 500 people that attend. We have about 100 sponsors. The logistics are a nightmare. And most organizations have to pay an event planner to do that. Because we have all volunteers running the event, we get to keep, we basically our expenses are so minimal, like it's just literally paying for the food and drinks and whatever decorations we get. We don't have to pay an event planner, which is very costly.
Well, you know what? Next year, when we're all out and about, hopefully, I will be more than happy I'd be excited to help with the Mardi Gras event, because I do have some event planning experience.
Perfect.
You're signed up, Holly. So, we are taking you up on that. As
I love socializing, so
it's a big undertaking, but I can't. And every year we have one volunteer, Jenny Min, who's on our board, and she's also basically the contact for the sponsors. Like, she's the person who calls businesses and asks for money, which nobody wants to do ever.
Right.
So her and Jordan, that's what they don't mind. They're the two people who don't mind asking people for money. And the hours that they give up, and the awkward uncomfortableness of asking people for money directly is so greatly appreciated, because those are literally the jobs that nobody wants to do. So we're very grateful.
They can't say yes if you don't ask, is my philosophy.
It doesn't hurt to ask. You just
if
get to
they
know.
say no, I'm like, okay, you're lost. Like, onto the next one.
Yeah.
To our cause. Because I think that's another thing that the BRAWS team does so well, is to promote and publicly thank all of the businesses that tirelessly support our organization. Your support will never go unrecognized. You know, the team is posting on the BRAWS website, on, you know, Facebook, on Instagram, you know, just word of mouth around town, in Facebook groups. Like, we want people to be recognized for supporting BRAWS.
Well, it's, you know, we want them to get they want them to get business also in return. You know, we want to promote, like, you know, support the businesses that support the community, kind of a thing. You know, if you're looking for a builder, support Jordan and her company because they support our community the most. So, you know, that's the approach, is like you give back, and then in return, the money you invested in this nonprofit will come back like tenfold.
And I'm just thrilled that we had this opportunity to meet with you guys and get to know, you know, the inspiration that went behind it and all that's going on and how you all are being affected by COVID and how people can give back.
Thanks again, guys, and thanks for watching. And please go to braws.org if you can. Make a donation. Every little bit helps. I think we were on the website. It's a $1 minimum. So take a little bit of time to do that, and get involved in the event on May 5th, right? There's
Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday, which is also Teachers Week, or Teacher Appreciation Week. Like, subscribe to Vibrant Vienna to catch more updates, because we want to come back and actually, you know, go see the facility and take a little tour, a video tour, and get a little bit more of a visual of what you guys do. Would be really fun to kind of see how that works and get that message out there to people. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Polly.
Thank you so much.